There's some things that are talked about in front of the relatives that are their guardians that they've never talked about before.
When I was walking back in the airplane at the end of a trip as he was coming home, he said, "I feel at peace now."
They get the impression, or they get the sincere feeling, this is the Valley saying thank you for what you did. We are honoring you for what you did.
Every time we do one of these homecomings, I get goosebumps every time. We've done it 16 times. You know, these veterans, 70 plus years ago, they saved the world.
I prayed not only for a safe trip, but I prayed that the young people and the people heading the government and so on would see in us, the veterans, the kind of unitedness and unity that we should have in the United States, because we're all one people for one purpose, and we should live and act like that.
The Central Valley Honor Flight is an all-volunteer program which seeks to find veterans of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, or actually these days anybody who served in the service. And originally the purpose was to take World War II veterans to see the memorials that were built in their honor that they never saw.
I had a couple ladies who listened to my radio program who would call me maybe once a month, say, "Hey, when are you going to start Honor Flight? When are you going to start Honor Flight in the Valley?" Because they'd heard about it in other places, and I had from my travels. And I knew it would be great here, and people would embrace it. But it wasn't until EECU called me and said, "Hey, we want to do a campaign to support a veterans charity. Can you recommend some?" I said, "Yeah, there's this one, and this one, but there's one we don't have, which we kind of tried to start a year ago that would be awesome." They said, "Honor Flight? That's awesome. Let's do it."
For me, we thought we would start small, maybe 30 veterans, one bus. But by the time the publicity was out in the Valley, we had so many veterans, we decided we've got to roll the dice. We don't have the money, but we need to take at least 60 or 70 veterans with guardians, charter an entire plane, and hope we can pull it off. And that was trip one in October 2013.
The work that goes into Honor Flight really starts at least 6 months in advance of a trip. Obviously, we have fundraising activities that go on throughout the year, but then we have to decide on when we can go based on the amount of funds that are available. And then as we get closer, we have a waiting list of veterans ready to go. Our World War II vets, of course, are first on the list whenever we have one that applies. Then we select the veterans at that time, and then we start filling it in with the guardians. Every veteran has a guardian that looks after their safety and is basically their guide through the trip.
You do not have to have served in a combat situation. You could have been in uniform and been stationed in the Pentagon. The important thing is you were in the military. You had signed up. You could be sent anywhere. So what we had to overcome was this notion, I haven't done anything heroic, and we get that a lot, but no, they're absolutely entitled to come on Honor Flight.
Well, obviously we go to the three main memorials for the wars that the veterans have served in, the World War II Memorial, then the Korean War Memorial, and then the Vietnam Wall.
I so appreciated the fact that there were people and governmental agencies in the United States who truly wanted to recognize what certain people in this country had done. They're showing these people that they appreciate what they did to help this country to survive and be what it is today. My guardian, Dennis Nodine, who's a school teacher, while we were there, he was constantly, as the high school students and so on were making tours, he would stop them and say, "You're making tours looking at this stuff. why don't you talk to a real World War II veteran? Here's one right here. He would bring them over to me and give me an opportunity to talk to them.
I think military members have a healing process in the honor flight. A lot of people, when they go to war, in the military, they've learned to compartmentalize things. So when they come home, it's now all about the family. And the military aspect of it is just put away in another little, I want to say, like a file cabinet, and the drawer is closed on that chapter in their life. But what's happened is that, and I think we have it now with the Vietnam veterans, we finally recognize the post-traumatic stress syndrome. But I think it's always been there. It's just that our World War II and Korean learned how to shove it away and not bring it into their personal lives. And now we're telling everybody it is okay. You want to get past that healing process.
No matter what your last name is, where you're from, how much money you make, Republican, Democrat, everything in between, here's something we can agree on. We realize that freedom isn't free, and our veterans risk their lives for us. So to see people come together around one idea like that and make this happen, it's just been inspiring for me. It's been humbling, but really just leaves me feeling in awe of how much people care. And it makes me think, what else is possible in our valley when people come together?
Keep in mind that for the World War II veterans, there was no parade or homecoming. In the Fresno airport, they walk first through a row of 60 to 80 sailors in dress white uniforms, and there are bands and children and over 1,000 people, and they go through this corridor, this tunnel of honor. And at the end, there's not a dry eye in that group, and they say, that was the welcome home I never got.
So I think what's next, as long as our community continues to step up and support this and make it possible, we're committed to giving our time and our talents to give these veterans the experience of a lifetime.
Go to cvhonorflight.org, that's our website. So that's the place where they can download the application, they can fill it out online. There's information there on how to donate.
If they have an opportunity, they need to go on the honor flight, because when they come back from that honor flight, they will have a different attitude about how people feel about them than they did when they left.
It's just a sense of accomplishment, a good feeling deep down inside of me, being able to give back to my community, being able to give back to people that made such a difference in my life. Because I live in this country that's free, and it's because of them.
Stories of Service is brought to you by Valley PBS in partnership with the Clovis Veterans Memorial District, honoring our veterans and serving our community since 1946.